Do you start every morning with good intentions to be focused and productive, only to find yourself scattered, distracted, and overwhelmed before you even leave the house? If you have ADHD, there are probably 3 specific morning habits that you're doing right now that are absolutely destroying your ability to focus for the entire rest of the day. These habits feel completely normal and might even seem productive, but they're actually hijacking your ADHD brain's attention systems and setting you up for failure before your day has even truly begun. What's particularly frustrating is that most people with ADHD have no idea they're sabotaging their own focus with these seemingly innocent morning routines. You might think you're starting your day efficiently, but you're actually triggering neurological patterns that make sustained attention, impulse control, and mental clarity nearly impossible to achieve. I'm Dr. Emily Thompson, and in my 12 years of working with ADHD patients who struggle with focus and productivity, I've identified these 3 morning habits as the most common and destructive patterns that prevent people from accessing their full cognitive potential. Today, I'm going to expose exactly what these 3 habits are, explain the neuroscience behind why they're so devastating for ADHD brains, and give you specific, actionable alternatives that will transform your focus starting tomorrow morning. But first, I need you to be completely honest in the comments. What's the very first thing you do when you wake up? And how focused do you typically feel by mid-morning? Your answer will tell me everything about whether these habits are stealing your mental clarity. This video is specifically for you if you have ADHD and you're frustrated with feeling scattered, unfocused, and mentally exhausted before your day has even really started. Maybe you're someone who wakes up feeling like you're already behind, immediately jumping into a chaotic morning routine that leaves you feeling overwhelmed and reactive instead of calm and intentional. Perhaps you find yourself struggling to concentrate on important tasks by 10 or 11 a.m., even though you got a decent night's sleep and took your medication. You might be someone who's tried every productivity system, focus technique, and organization method imaginable, but nothing seems to help you maintain consistent attention and mental clarity throughout your day. Maybe you've noticed that some mornings you feel sharp and focused, while other mornings your brain feels like it's running through thick fog, and you can't figure out what's causing this inconsistency. Before we dive into these focus-destroying habits and their solutions, if you're already recognizing yourself in what I'm describing, and you're ready to finally understand why your mornings set you up for failure, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps me reach more people with ADHD who are struggling with focus and attention challenges. And I promise you're going to get specific, science-backed strategies that work with your unique brain wiring instead of against it. You might relate to feeling like you have to rush through your morning routine just to get out the door on time, checking multiple devices and sources of information before you're even fully awake, or starting your day in a state of reactive stress rather than proactive calm. Perhaps you've been told that you need better morning routines, but nobody has explained exactly what you're doing wrong or how to fix it in a way that actually works for ADHD brains. The truth is, most morning routine advice is designed for neurotypical brains and often makes ADHD symptoms worse rather than better. Your brain has unique needs when it comes to attention regulation, dopamine production, and cognitive functioning that require specific strategies. The 3 habits I'm about to reveal aren't character flaws or signs of laziness. They're predictable patterns that happen when ADHD brains try to follow conventional morning routines that aren't designed for how we actually function. The first and most destructive morning habit that's absolutely crushing your ADHD focus is checking your phone within the first 30 minutes of waking up. This might seem harmless or even productive. After all, you're just checking messages, catching up on news, or scrolling through social media while you wake up. But this single habit is neurologically devastating for ADHD brains, and here's exactly why. The dopamine hijacking effect. When you first wake up, your ADHD brain is in a unique neurological state. Your dopamine levels are naturally at their lowest point of the day, and your prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for focus, attention, and executive function, is just beginning to come online. This is actually the perfect opportunity to build sustainable focus and attention for the entire day ahead. But the moment you pick up your phone, you're flooding your already dopamine-deficient brain with artificial, irregular dopamine hits from notifications, messages, social media likes, and constantly changing digital stimuli. Your brain gets addicted to this random, unpredictable reward schedule, making it nearly impossible to focus on anything that doesn't provide the same level of instant gratification for the rest of the day. Research in neuroscience shows that people with ADHD who check their phones immediately upon waking have significantly worse attention spans, higher levels of distractibility, and more difficulty with task persistence throughout the entire day compared to those who wait at least 30 to 60 minutes before engaging with digital devices. The reactive versus proactive brain state. When you check your phone first thing in the morning, you're immediately putting your brain into what neuroscientists call a reactive state rather than a proactive state. In reactive mode, your brain is constantly responding to external stimuli, jumping from one piece of information to another, and operating in a scattered, unfocused manner. This reactive state is particularly problematic for ADHD brains because we already struggle with what's called attentional control, the ability to consciously direct and sustain our attention where we want it to be. Starting your day in reactive mode makes it exponentially harder to develop the focused, intentional attention you need for important tasks. The information overload problem. ADHD brains are already prone to feeling overwhelmed by too much incoming information, and checking your phone first thing in the morning creates instant information overload before your cognitive systems are even fully awake. You might be exposed to dozens of emails, text messages, news headlines, social media posts, and other pieces of information within minutes of waking up. Your brain tries to process all of this information simultaneously, which quickly depletes your limited cognitive resources and leaves you feeling mentally exhausted before you've even started your actual day. This early morning cognitive depletion makes it much harder to focus on important tasks later because you've already used up a significant portion of your mental energy processing random digital information. How to break this habit? The solution is to implement what I call the phone-free morning window, committing to not checking any digital devices for at least the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking up. Instead of reaching for your phone, create a gentle morning routine that supports your ADHD brain's natural attention systems. Keep your phone in another room overnight, or at minimum, keep it on airplane mode until after you've completed your morning routine. If you use your phone as an alarm, invest in a traditional alarm clock and charge your phone outside your bedroom. Replace the phone checking habit with activities that support focus and attention. Gentle stretching, deep breathing, journaling, meditation, or simply sitting quietly while you wake up gradually. These activities help your brain transition from sleep to wakefulness without overwhelming your cognitive systems. The second morning habit that's absolutely destroying your ADHD focus is either skipping breakfast entirely or eating foods that cause dramatic blood sugar spikes and crashes. This habit is incredibly common among people with ADHD, but it's setting you up for cognitive disaster throughout your entire day. The ADHD brain's unique energy needs. ADHD brains have significantly higher energy demands than neurotypical brains. Your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for focus, attention, and executive function, requires steady glucose and nutrients to function optimally. When you skip breakfast or eat foods that cause blood sugar instability, you're literally starving the brain regions you need most for concentration and cognitive control. Research shows that people with ADHD are more sensitive to blood sugar fluctuations than neurotypical individuals. Even minor drops in blood glucose can cause significant decreases in attention span, working memory, and impulse control. Starting your day without proper nutrition or with foods that cause blood sugar chaos sets you up for hours of cognitive struggle. Many people with ADHD skip breakfast because they don't feel hungry in the morning, especially if they take stimulant medications that suppress appetite. Others grab convenient options like pastries, sugary cereals, energy drinks, or coffee shop treats that seem like they'll provide quick energy but actually do the opposite. The blood sugar roller coaster. When you eat high sugar or refined carbohydrate foods for breakfast, you create what I call the blood sugar roller coaster. That's particularly devastating for ADHD focus. Foods like donuts, muffins, sugary cereals, fruit juices, energy drinks, or even seemingly healthy options like most granola bars cause your blood sugar to spike rapidly. This initial spike might make you feel energetic and alert for 30 to 60 minutes, but it's inevitably followed by a dramatic crash as your body produces insulin to manage the glucose surge. During this crash, your brain becomes glucose deprived, leading to brain fog, irritability, anxiety, and complete inability to maintain focus or attention. For people with ADHD, these blood sugar crashes are particularly problematic because they often coincide with times when you need maximum cognitive function, like mid-morning work tasks, important meetings, or complex problem-solving activities. You end up feeling scattered, mentally sluggish, and unable to think clearly during some of the most important parts of your day. The stimulant-medication interaction. If you take stimulant medications for ADHD, skipping breakfast or eating high-sugar foods can significantly interfere with how well your medication works. Stimulants work by increasing dopamine and norepinephrine availability in your brain, but they need proper nutritional support to function optimally. When your blood sugar is unstable, your medication can't work as effectively because your brain doesn't have the steady energy supply it needs to utilize the increased neurotransmitter activity. You might notice that your medication seems less effective on days when you don't eat proper breakfast, or that you experience more side effects like jitteriness, anxiety, or crashes when the medication wears off. The protein and healthy fat solution. The solution is to eat a breakfast that provides steady, sustained energy for your brain throughout the morning. Focus on combining high-quality protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates in ratios that support stable blood sugar and optimal cognitive function. Protein is particularly crucial for ADHD brains because it provides amino acids that your brain uses to produce dopamine, norepinephrine, and other neurotransmitters essential for focus and attention. Aim for 20 to 30 grams of protein at breakfast from sources like eggs, Greek yogurt, protein smoothies, nuts, seeds, or lean meats. Healthy fats help slow the absorption of any carbohydrates you eat, preventing blood sugar spikes while providing sustained energy for your brain. Include sources like avocado, nuts, seeds, olive oil, or fatty fish in your morning meal. If you include carbohydrates, choose complex options like steel-cut oats, quinoa, sweet potatoes, or whole grain toast that provide steady glucose release rather than rapid spikes. Avoid anything with added sugars, refined flour, or processed ingredients that will destabilize your blood sugar. Practical implementation strategies. If you're not hungry in the morning or struggle with meal preparation, start with small, simple options that you can easily implement. A protein smoothie with Greek yogurt, berries, and nut butter can be prepared quickly and consumed gradually. Hard-boiled eggs prepared ahead of time provide convenient portable protein. If you take medication that suppresses your appetite, try eating something small but nutritionally dense rather than skipping food entirely. Even a handful of nuts or a piece of cheese with an apple can provide enough nutrients to support better cognitive function. Prepare breakfast options ahead of time when possible. Overnight oats with protein powder, egg muffins made in advance, or chia seed puddings can be prepared in batches and consumed throughout the week without requiring morning preparation time. The third morning habit that's systematically destroying your ADHD focus is trying to multitask and consuming multiple streams of information simultaneously during your morning routine. This might seem efficient or productive, but it's actually fragmenting your attention and depleting your cognitive resources before your day has even really begun. The multitasking myth for ADHD brains. Despite what you might believe about your ability to multitask, Neuroscience research is absolutely clear. True multitasking is neurologically impossible for human brains. What we call multitasking is actually rapid task switching, where your brain quickly jumps back and forth between different activities or information sources. For people with ADHD, this task switching is particularly costly because our brains already struggle with what neuroscientists call task switching efficiency. Every time you switch from one activity to another, your brain needs time and energy to disengage from the first task, reorient to the new task, and rebuild focus. This process depletes cognitive resources much faster in ADHD brains than in neurotypical brains. Common morning multitasking patterns include checking email while eating breakfast, listening to news or podcasts while getting dressed, scrolling social media while drinking coffee, having the TV on while preparing for work, or trying to plan your day while doing other morning activities. Each of these combinations fragments your attention and reduces your ability to focus deeply on anything. The attention residue effect. When you multitask during your morning routine, you create what researchers call attention residue. Part of your cognitive resources remain stuck on previous tasks even after you've moved on to new activities. This is particularly problematic for ADHD brains because we already have difficulty with attention regulation and cognitive flexibility. For example, if you check work emails while eating breakfast, part of your brain continues processing work-related thoughts and concerns even after you've finished eating and moved on to getting dressed. This attention residue reduces your available cognitive capacity for whatever you're trying to focus on next, creating a cumulative effect that gets worse throughout the morning. The information overload problem. Modern morning routines often involve consuming massive amounts of information from multiple sources: news apps, social media feeds, email inboxes, text messages, podcast episodes, radio shows, and television news. ADHD brains are particularly vulnerable to information overload because we have difficulty filtering relevant information from irrelevant information. When you consume multiple information streams during your morning routine, your brain tries to process and categorize all of this data simultaneously. This quickly overwhelms your cognitive systems and triggers what neuroscientists call cognitive fatigue, a state where your brain becomes less efficient at processing new information and maintaining attention. The single tasking solution. The solution is to implement what I call sequential single tasking during your morning routine, consciously focusing on one activity at a time and completing each task before moving to the next. This approach works with your ADHD brain's natural functioning rather than against it. Create a simple, sequential morning routine where you complete each activity mindfully and completely before beginning the next one. For example, wake up and stretch for 5 minutes, then shower with full attention, then eat breakfast without any distractions, then get dressed while focusing only on that task, then review your daily priorities without any other inputs. Eliminate all unnecessary information consumption during your morning routine. Save news, social media, podcasts, and entertainment content for later in the day when your brain has already established strong focus patterns. Use your morning cognitive resources for activities that support attention and mental clarity, rather than fragmenting them with random information. Now that you understand the 3 habits that are destroying your ADHD focus, let me give you a complete, science-based alternative morning routine that will optimize your attention and cognitive function for the entire day ahead. The ADHD optimized morning sequence. Phase 1, gentle awakening. First 15 minutes. Wake up without immediately checking any devices. Spend 5 to 10 minutes doing gentle stretching or deep breathing while still in bed. This allows your nervous system to transition gradually from sleep to wakefulness without shocking your brain into hyperarousal. Set a simple intention for your day, not a complex to-do list, but a single word or phrase that represents how you want to feel or what you want to accomplish. This activates your prefrontal cortex in a calm, purposeful way rather than through reactive stress. Phase 2, physical activation. Next 10-15 minutes. Engage in some form of gentle physical movement, that increases blood flow to your brain and promotes dopamine production. This could be stretching, yoga, walking, or light exercise. Physical movement is particularly important for ADHD brains because it naturally boosts the neurotransmitters you need for focus and attention. Avoid any information consumption during this phase. Focus entirely on physical sensations and movement. This helps establish the present moment awareness that's crucial for sustained attention throughout your day. Phase 3. Nutritional support. Next 15-20 minutes. Eat a balanced breakfast focused on protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates without any distractions. No phone, no TV, no reading, just mindful eating while paying attention to flavors, textures, and hunger cues. This mindful eating practice not only provides optimal nutrition for your brain, but also strengthens your ability to maintain single-task focus, which will serve you throughout the day. Phase 4. Intentional planning. Next 10-15 minutes. Spend a few minutes reviewing your priorities for the day and organizing your schedule. But do this as a single, focused activity rather than while multitasking. Use a physical planner or notebook when possible to avoid digital distractions. Choose your top 1-3 priorities for the day and visualize yourself completing them successfully. This mental rehearsal activates the same neural pathways you'll use for actual task completion and improves your ability to maintain focus on important activities. Start small and build gradually. Don't try to implement this entire new routine immediately. Choose one habit to change first. I recommend starting with the phone-free morning window since it has the most dramatic impact on focus. Commit to keeping your phone off or in another room for just the first 30 minutes after waking up. Once this feels natural and automatic, add the nutrition component by focusing on eating a protein-rich breakfast without distractions. Finally, address the multitasking habit by practicing single-task focus during one morning activity at a time. Real patient success stories. I've seen these changes transform the lives of thousands of my ADHD patients. Sarah, a 34-year-old marketing executive, struggled with focus for years despite taking medication. After implementing the phone-free morning window and eating protein-rich breakfast, she told me, "Dr. Thompson, I can't believe how much clearer my thinking is. I'm getting more done in the first 2 hours of work than I used to accomplish in entire mornings." Michael, a 28-year-old software developer, had been starting every day by checking social media, emails, and news while drinking coffee. He was constantly feeling scattered and overwhelmed by 10 a.m. After switching to sequential single-tasking in the mornings, he reported, "My ability to focus on complex coding problems has improved dramatically. I feel like I finally have control over my attention instead of it controlling me." Common implementation challenges. Many people worry that avoiding their phone in the morning will make them miss important messages or appointments. The reality is that very few things are truly urgent enough to require immediate morning attention, and you'll be much more effective at handling any real priorities once your brain is properly prepared for focused attention. If you're concerned about oversleeping without your phone alarm, invest in a traditional alarm clock and keep your phone charging in another room overnight. This single change often improves both sleep quality and morning focus. If this video has opened your eyes to the specific ways your morning routine might be sabotaging your ADHD focus, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on. I create evidence-based content specifically for people with ADHD who want to optimize their cognitive function using strategies that work with their unique brain wiring. Share this video with anyone you know who has ADHD and struggles with focus and concentration. They might have no idea that their morning habits are setting them up for failure throughout the entire day. I want to know in the comments, which of these 3 habits do you recognize in your own morning routine? And which one are you most committed to changing starting tomorrow? Also, what does your current morning routine look like? And how focused do you typically feel by mid-morning? Remember, improving your ADHD focus isn't about forcing your brain to be something it's not. It's about understanding how your unique neurology works and creating morning routines that support, rather than sabotage, your natural attention systems. You have incredible focus potential. You just need to stop accidentally destroying it before your day even begins. Your ADHD brain is capable of sustained, powerful attention when you give it the right conditions to thrive. These 3 simple changes to your morning routine could be the key to unlocking the consistent focus and mental clarity you've been searching for.